Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Not a really great guest on today. He's an executive UX and product design leader with more than 20 years experience. He leads design transformations for high growth companies and loves elevating the business impact of design, leveraging design as a strategic differentiator and building design orgs to scale. Please join me in welcoming Tom Greever. Welcome.
Thanks, Thomas. Glad to be here.
Are you ready for 20 questions?
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Let's do it.
Great. Question one. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
So for work, I lead UX and product design teams in design, content, and research. I'm also the author of a book called Articulating Design Decisions, and I frequently coach and mentor teams and individuals on the skills they need to basically represent and advocate for our craft at the executive level.
Great. And just a quick note for the audience, if you guys are interested in the popular 2025 episodes, check out our recent episode with Amber Case. Question two. What's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
Well, some people are familiar with the book Articulating Design Decisions, and it's the whole premise is focused on helping the product design team be better at communicating with other people in the organization. That tends to be what people know about me. That is a bit of a different differentiator compared to some of the other things I do.
Great. Question three. Why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
I think that at my core, I'm a maker or a creator. I happen to have a good blend of kind of like an engineering mindset combined with good creative muscle. And so I think even if I weren't designing software or leading design teams, I would be designing something else. Whether it was a car or a house or something else, I would probably almost always be making or creating something.
Great. And some people struggle with number four. And the question is, what does your future look like?
Yeah, I struggle with it as well. I think if I knew this with certainty, I'd probably be pretty wealthy. Who knows what my future holds? Honestly, I hope that I get to continue to do what I currently do as long as possible because I'm right where I want to be right now. I love my teams and the things that we get to do together, and I hope that I'll get to continue to do that for the foreseeable future.
Great. And five we say is unique to this show. The question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because I primarily work remotely. I often travel to offices as needed or travel for, workshops or other sessions. Um, and then of course I have others, when I'm working at home, I actually have a home office that is detached from my house. So it's a separate space. And so for me, those spaces enable me to switch between modes, right? When I'm in my home office, I have kind of like a work mode, right? And often that is getting things done and it's very focused. When I'm traveling and when I'm with people in person more, that is a bit more of a social mode, right? It's a mode where I'm in a lot more meetings and trying to advocate for the things that me and my team need. And then of course I have home mode when I'm home and those kinds of things. So I think those spaces enable me to more seamlessly kind of switch between those modes and have kind of more focused or productive efforts when I'm in those modes.
Great. So six, you're starting from the beginning. What advice do you give your former younger self?
Um, I think I would tell my former younger self to look for more opportunities to help and to serve other people, and to really value and build into the relationships that you have. I think that earlier in my career, it's not that I didn't value people or didn't help them, right? It was not like I was a total self-centered jerk or anything, but I do think that I didn't value that as much as I could have. I think I really missed some opportunities to build better relationships with people, and I wish, in hindsight and upon reflection, that I had done a better job of that.
Great. And what's a day in your life like?
Well, as I said, I work from my home office, so usually I'm a runner. I like to get up and run first thing in the morning, so I'm usually up pretty early, eating a breakfast, getting out the door, and running and coming back and showering, kind of starting my day. That's how I kind of start nearly all of my days. I have the short commute, the walk from the back of my house to my office, where I spend most of my day. But I we live we live in more of a rural area, and so I have the opportunity to go on long walks. So I will often do walking meetings, on the phone, and then also sometimes when I travel, of course, I'm doing a lot of commuting back and forth from an office, but also trying to find opportunities to, be a part of the communities that I'm in when I'm traveling. Whether that, most often that is just finding good places to run, or doing some local shopping, which makes me feel a bit more, connected to the surroundings.
Great. So eight is about lifelong learning. It's a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
I spend a lot of time just reading other people's ideas and thoughts on LinkedIn. I actually find that a really valuable way to both connect with people, as well as kind of stay up to date on things that are happening. Other than that, I do listen to some podcasts while traveling or going on long walks or drives. I do read books from time to time, though not as much as I would like to. But really, it's almost it's mostly on LinkedIn, and I enjoy connecting with different people that I know professionally on LinkedIn, and just hearing how those people are leading teams, and the problems that they're facing now.
Great. And nine is about tools. Do you use both digital and analog tools?
I almost always use digital tools. That said, I do have a habit of having either a stack of cards or like a pad of paper that I manage as more or less a to-do list. And then I use Apple Notes a lot, both on my phone and my computer, and there's all kinds of stuff in there. But when it comes to like what's the next three things I need to do, I find that it's less distracting and easier to just write them down on a notepad or a piece of paper. So I do keep that handy. I think that's the main kind of analog tool that I use.
Great. So halfway number 10, how do you deal with work life or life work balance?
I don't have a super rigid perspective on work-life balance. I think there are seasons when I need to work more. There are seasons when I need to take care of myself or my family a little bit more, and it all tends to work out. So I guess the way that I deal with it is to not focus on the details too much. There's some days when I have to work late, and that's fine. There's some days when I'm traveling and I'm not going to make it home. There are other days where I have to leave early to take my kids somewhere, right? So I tend to just not. I tend to not keep track of it and kind of assume that it'll all work out in the end, and it generally does.
Great. And if you weren't doing what you do now, what might you be doing?
I mean, I would definitely still be building or creating something. So, for instance, I love cars. I have dabbled in car restoration in the past. I could totally see myself, restoring or building cars. I'm pretty handy. I love doing projects and work around the house. Building. I built a lot for our house. At one point, we owned some rental properties that I had rehabbed. So I don't know. Maybe I would build houses, but either way, I would definitely be, designing or building something, even if it isn't software.
Great. And what would you not like to do with your career?
I would not like to commute to a job every day. I've done that in the past. I did not find it to be a very healthy or useful way to spend my time. I would not want to work in a factory or a boring office job where my mind is not put to good use or engaged. It's really just about engagement, right? I wouldn't want to do something where I don't really feel like my skills are being leveraged. I think that's kind of like the worst place to be.
Great. And how about a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
I don't know if I honestly don't know if I have a favorite word, quote, or sentence like from a book or a movie. But if I think a bit more generally, and especially related to work, one of my favorite things to hear is that I did a good job, that I got it, that I was understood, right? That when I'm able to communicate something to someone else and it's clear that they understand what I've said, whether that's my boss, right? Like telling, telling me that I did exactly what was expected or exceeded expectations, or even someone on my own team or a peer who's supporting me and telling me that I did a good job and they've got my back.
And do you have a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Right. So that's probably just the opposite of that, which is, hearing that there's a misunderstanding, right? Or that we're not on the same page. One of my pet peeves is just not being understood, right? So when I share something or I try to communicate a message or I try to get something done and the response I get in return is like, oh, that's not what I understood, or that's not what I was thinking, or I had completely different expectations than what you did. Like that's one of the more difficult places for me to be. I hate misunderstandings, and I'm always working to kind of like try to clear them up.
Great. And you're choosing one word to describe yourself. What word do you choose?
Well, right. So I was thinking about whether or not this would be aspirational. What I wish other people would maybe say about me would be, which would be, something about being, kind or empathetic or a people person. If we're talking about what words people have said about me or what I've heard the most often, it is usually something about being, either creative or kind of a problem solver.
And what keeps you up at night?
Often it's because I'm excited about new opportunities, right? So people that I work with and I care about, new work that is interesting, things that are really leveraging my strengths. Other than that, the only other things that probably keep me up at night is, worrying about my kids or our health or our future plans.
Final stretch here. What's a dream you're chasing?
Right now, I'm actually working toward a PR in a 5K. I've been running for a long time, but it's been many years since I've had a PR, so I'm on a very regimented training plan to kind of get to that PR. But in a way, my family and our life together is my dream. I'm currently living it. Both my job and my personal life are the dreams.
Great. And what inspires you?
I'm inspired by people who are really good at what they do. And so, like specifically related to leadership or the leaders that I've had and reported to, I'm inspired when I see people leading other people in a way that is thoughtful and respectful and effective. And when you can talk to someone and it's just immediately clear that they know what they're doing and they know how to get it done, that's super inspiring to me. I aspire to be like that.
Great. And the last couple here, number 19. Any advice you'd like to share?
Maybe just that good, healthy relationships are really the only thing that matters. I mean, there's a lot of details to our life that are important, but the only thing that is actually going to matter in the long run are the relationships that we build.
Great. And finally, number 20. How can our listeners keep tabs on you, and what's our call to action?
So mainly on LinkedIn, you'd be welcome to connect with me there. I'm connected with a lot of people, and I love to interact on LinkedIn. You can also find me on my website at tomgreever.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining. Super inspiring. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas.